Hello and welcome to New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Shannon O'Hurley and I am just so glad and so grateful to be with you this day. We have such a wonderful service planned. LaRhonda Steele is here. Need I say more? The one and only LaRhonda Steele. So glad she's with us. And if you are with us for the very first time, just know that we are an inclusive, progressive, and compassionate community. We honor all walks of life, all people, all faith paths. Everyone is welcome here. And not only are you welcome here, but we have mindfully and thoughtfully created a place just for you, exactly as you are today. So curl up, relax, and enjoy the service. Welcome.
Thank you, Reverend Shannon. Hi, I'm Reverend Christine Green. Please join me as we anchor our time together in prayer. So, just breathing into this sacred moment of now, I fully know and turn my whole attention to the beneficial presence, which is Spirit. This presence is revealed as infinite love and divine intelligence, living in and through and as me right now. I let this vast possibility of presence transform me. And as I am transformed, my life blossoms and expands as infinite newness. I know this truth for all of us. What a blessing it is to stand in the oneness of this truth. I'm so grateful for our loving community, and so grateful for the hands and hearts that come together to make this service accessible to all. I place my full attention on the divine intelligence that permeates everything, that energy that breathes us, moves us, and reveals through every life, not only here, but all of humanity. And so I'm so grateful in knowing this uniqueness of Spirit flowing through our community, moving through all of humanity, bringing love and light, peace and harmony. I am so very grateful for this blessing, and I graciously release it into love this day. And so it is. And now I pass this over to Practitioner Shelley for our time of meditation.
Thank you, Reverend Christine. And so this is our time for spiritual practice, and so I invite you to rest. To close your eyes if you feel comfortable, to rest your body, feel your feet, wiggling your toes. And to take this precious and holy and sacred moment to come fully present with yourself. With that thing within you that knows that it knows that it knows. Love. That thing within you that knows that you were placed on this planet to love. To be the expression of this one sacred love and grace that called you into being. And so I invite you with your very next breath to take in all that you need to take in to sustain you. Whether that is oxygen or my voice telling you that you matter, that you belong, that you were called to be on the planet at this time and you've got what it takes to thrive. My beloved, we will get there together because there is a place within us that already exists, and it is this place that is love. And so as our journey comes to an end for now, I invite you as you come fully present back to this moment and open your eyes and wiggle your toes. You are loved. You belong. You are wanted. And in fact, you are very needed. And so I thank you. I thank you for choosing to walk the planet at this time. And as we settle into that remembrance of who and what we are, we anchor it in with this incredible song by the great LaRhonda Steele and the New Thought Messengers. Take it away.
Yes to life. I'm saying yes, yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, oh yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, yes, yes to life. I'm saying yes, oh yeah, yeah. I'm saying yes to life. Oh, I'm saying yes to life. Oh, yes, I am. The spirit of love within me is expressing itself right now. Yes, the spirit of joy within me is expressing itself right now. Now, what are we gonna create today? The universe is ready to play. Spirit is surely leading the way if you just say yes. I'm saying yes, yes, oh yeah. I'm saying yes, oh yeah. I'm saying yes, yes, yes. Oh, come on and say yes. I'm saying yes to life. I'm showing up saying yes to life. Oh yeah, oh yeah. The spirit of life within me is expressing itself right now. The spirit of life within me is expressing itself right now. Whatsoever you conceive, if you believe it, you shall achieve it. The universe is surely will agree if you just say yes. Ooh, yes, yes, yes to life. Come on and say yes. Say yes. Yes to joy, yes to peace, yes to freedom, yes to all those good things, y'all. Say yes. Oh, yes to life. Come on and say yes to life. Oh, say yes with me. Say yes, yes, yes. I'm saying yes to life, y'all. Oh, say yes, yes, yes. I'm saying yes to life, yeah. Right here in my living room, where I stand, everywhere I be, I'm saying yes. Yes, yes, yes to life. Oh, yeah. Bless you.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, LaRhonda Steele. Oh, my word. Yes. Oh, yes. We are saying yes to life. This is what I am talking about today, the blessing of it and how to get there. So Ernest Holmes wrote, "The original author of all life is in and around you. Not a God who was, but a God who is. Life is wherever you are. It revolves around you even as it flows through you. Keep the doorway of your mind open. Know that it fills you with light and with power. Know that it fills you with light and with power." Oh, yes. And thank you again, LaRhonda, so much for reminding us in that song that we are always at choice to say yes to life. So what does it mean to say yes to life? It means to say yes to God. It means to say yes to Spirit or to love in our lives. From the Christian scriptures in both Luke and Matthew, it says, "Seek first the kingdom," or queendom, or kingdom, "and all things will be added." All things will be added. So when we show up from the place of love, When we show up from the place of spirit, we are showing up from that sacred place of yes within us that will support us. That's the divine, eternal spirit in us, especially as we move through this time together. There's an African proverb that says, a person becomes a person through other people. We become like those we surround ourselves with. Oh, we become like those we surround ourselves with. And even though we're not surrounding ourselves, with a lot of people at the moment, at least I hope you're not. Right now, it's very important to look at who you are choosing to surround yourself with on social media. Who are you choosing to engage with? In the smaller circle of where you are, and is it bringing you more positive energy? Is engaging with, that person or those people or whatever it might be, reminding you to say yes to life? Is it bringing you more joy? And if not, you may want to have a gentle look at that. You may want to reevaluate that, because unfortunately right now, there is so much polarity happening right now. And there are folks who I think frankly are bored, for one, and I think that the pandemic has triggered them, has brought up some of that unhealed inner shadow stuff. And instead of doing their own work, what I'm noticing is that they are, some people are just like projectiling their pain onto others. It looks like those aggressive, non-productive posts that we see on social media. It looks like gossip. It looks like conspiracy theories, which are all really just an attempt, to cover up their own pain, to ignore it, and to try to somehow be in control, which is very sad, and which calls for compassion for sure. And understand that the word spirituality comes from spiritus. Spiritus, which means life, breath, and aliveness. And there is nothing spiritual about trying to harm or hurt another person. That is not of God. That is not of spirit. The Buddha said, we are the heirs of our actions. So a gentle reminder, if you are seeing or experiencing a low vibratory action and behavior by someone around you, you can make the decision to love them over there. I just wanted to remind you of that. I know I talked about that, I don't even know, last week, the week before, some time ago. But I think it's a good reminder if that is coming up for you. I recently discovered the work of Ross Gay, and he is a professor of English and an award-winning poet. I'm going to speak more about him a little bit later, but I wanted to share with you something that he said about the social justice work that so many of us and so many people around the country are engaged in right now. He said, I often think the gap in our speaking and working for justice is that we forget to advocate for what we love, for what we find beautiful and necessary. We are good at fighting, but holding in one's imagination what is wonderful and to be adored and preserved and exalted is harder for us. Oh, he is spot on. He is spot on. During this time, working for justice and learning and unlearning and learning more and taking a stand for what we believe in, it is so important that we remember to advocate for love. To advocate for love. That is a spiritual truth right there. Because if we do that, if we focus on advocating for love, we will not get swept up in the negative low vibratory patterns that I mentioned earlier. The two can't exist in the same place. There's no way, it's impossible. So when we advocate for love, we are in the vibration of saying yes to life. So I ask you, how can you advocate for love more? A few months ago, during the initial period of lockdown, there were some European countries that decided to take the opportunity while people were inside their homes to do things like repair roads and improve infrastructure so that when people got out of quarantine life, it would be easier for them. What a great idea. What a great idea. Now, while our outer infrastructure is what it is at the moment, we can surely take the time to look at our inner infrastructure during this time. So I invite you to ask yourself, what is it within me that I can shore up, that I can mend and fortify right now? That is being an advocate of love for yourself. What is it that I can mend and fortify right now? There is that beautiful Mary Oliver famous poem. There's that line in her poem that goes, "What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Well, I would like to, for the purposes of this conversation, just humbly reframe that and ask it this way. How are you going to be with your one wild and precious life? How are you going to be with your one wild and precious life? We can consciously choose spiritus, spirit, life, breath, aliveness. We absolutely can. I remember the very first time many years ago that I read that when the Dalai Lama was asked to describe his religion, he said, "My religion is kindness," which brought tears to my eyes immediately. My religion is kindness. I believe that is true of our spiritual path. Jesus taught that they will know you by how you love one another. And so I have an invitation of what we can do to tangibly love one another. And that is to make the decision to cultivate the capacity in the midst of all that is going on to be fiercely kind. I'm not talking about polite kindness or, good manners. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fierce kindness. Now, the word kindness comes from the Old English that means to produce and increase. And I believe that right now we must make the commitment to produce an increase of goodness and loving action. This is what it means to be fiercely kind. The original meaning of the word fierce meant overwhelmingly strong. So the peaceful protesters are being fiercely kind, and they are producing an increase of goodness and loving action on the planet. Those of you who are engaging in anti-racism work, it's fierce kindness that is producing an increase of goodness and loving action in our country. Those of you who are making congregant care phone calls in our community to the 206 people that requested it right now, that is fiercely kind, and you are producing an increase of goodness and loving action in our community. To those of you who are wearing your masks, thank you. I know that many of you are helping others in whatever way that you can. Hello, fierce kindness that is. You. Thank you for producing an increase of goodness and loving action to so many people and to people you don't even know. To those of you who are committed to going deeper with your spirituality and our teaching, to those of you who attend our services regularly or who maybe are in a spiritual growth circle or have a prayer partner or meditate or really contemplate and think about these ideas that are brought to you each week. You are producing an increase of goodness and loving action in the world, even just by focusing on this love and this teaching. People often mistake kindness for weakness. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's often harder to be kind. I put a post on my social media a while back, and it really spoke to this, and I want to share this with you. It's written by a woman named Sherry Eckert, and it's a piece that's called That One. She wrote, "Be that one, the one who forgives when deep offense has been committed. That one who loves when no one else does. That one who gives kindness to those who are mean. Be that one who looks past the insult, instead seeing the pain that motivated it. That one who shines light upon those who sit in utter darkness, because the impact of being that one runs far and wide. It brings healing to the wounded, joy to the sad, and hope to those in despair. Be that one." So how do we be that one? How do we be fiercely kind? You know, it's easy to be kind when someone is nice to us, or when they agree with us or when they like us. But how do we become fiercely kind as a spiritual practice? This is a powerful choice, and it is an antidote to vitriol and meanness. When you have experienced deep pain, you're forced with a choice. You can go unconscious, and you can create more pain by projecting your unhealed stuff onto others. Or you can wake up and you can allow your compassion to presence itself to actually create more peace. One of the ways that I have learned to practice fierce kindness is through my own loss and sorrow. One of my greatest teachers in this is my Aunt Jody, who chose to forgive the man who killed her daughter, my cousin. She chose to forgive him when so many people wanted the death penalty, which she said no to, because she knew that that would just bring more pain to the world. She said no to that. She chose fierce kindness. The psalmist wrote, "Lead me to the rock that is higher than I." Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. There is always a place in us that will choose, if we listen to it, love, that will choose peace, that will choose kindness. And when we choose love, when we listen to that guidance and we choose love, joy follows. Always. Brother David Steindl-Rast said, "Joy is happiness that doesn't depend on what happens." Joy is happiness that doesn't depend on what happens. Many folks right now are asking me questions and really exploring this idea of how can I find joy right now? I mean, real joy, in the middle of all that is happening. And it's such a great question. Ross Gay, who I mentioned earlier, said, "It is not at all puzzling to me that joy is possible in the midst of difficulty." This is his New York Times bestseller. Basically, he decided to write one essay every day for a year. And his goal was to, despite all that's going on right now, to move through all that was going on when he wrote it, to move through that year looking for delight and writing about it every day. And it's such a beautiful reminder of the small joys that we can miss in everyday life. It's exquisitely written. He shared that at first he thought this was going to be a really hard, thing. This is a really hard undertaking. The idea of finding something beautiful and delightful every day, he had no idea how that was going to happen. But then he shared in an interview that one of the things that surprised him the most was how quickly the study of delight made delight more evident. Now, how metaphysical is that? The study of delight made delight more evident. He said over time that he developed a delight radar and he began to notice ordinary things that he, would have missed. For example, he talks about noticing two people, sharing the burden of carrying a shopping bag and how they helped each other and just how they adjusted their bodies to just simply help each other and the sheer delight in that. Or the silent nod of acknowledgement between the only two Black people in a room. Or his friend who insists on using air quotes every time he talks. I really like that one. Or the mixture of arugula and garlic from his beloved garden and the aroma of that. Or my absolute favorite, the marquee in front of a church that said in all caps, "Forbidden fruit creates many jams." I just love that. Forbidden fruit creates many jams. It does. So many ways to look at that. So in the same way that Ross Gay has mastered this art of, sort of training his gaze to see the delights of the world amidst the chaos and difficulty and challenge, the poet Marilyn Nelson uncovered a similar practice from a nun that she met, and it's part living prayer and part contemplative practice, and it's called the loving gaze, very similar. And she describes it as just being very simple, and it just requires that you simply put love in your eyes and you look at the world from that lens. You've got to try this. Next time you're out, just even you're out and about, just put love in your eyes and feel how that shifts things. So let's just for a moment consciously place love in your gaze. Take a breath. Open your eyes. Just place love in your gaze. Just how do you see things differently when you consciously do that? What a powerful spiritual practice. When we are looking through the lens of love consciously, we experience the world very, very differently. As we presence ourselves in this way, we see with fierce kindness the delights of the world, and we can more easily say yes to life, therefore producing an increase of goodness and loving action. Marilyn Nelson wrote, "How sweet it is to let God purge our souls of ego and bitterness and to have a little taste of heaven here on earth." Oh, let's be heaven for each other here on earth. Let's be heaven on earth for each other. We can do that. We can do that. So this week, I invite you to decide, how are you going to be with your one wild and precious life? And ask, what is it within me that I can shore up, mend, or fortify right now? Be fiercely kind. And finally, place love in your gaze and watch what happens. Let's be heaven on earth for each other. We can do that. We can love more. So I invite you to turn within as we anchor this time in prayer, just taking in a nice deep breath. What a blessing it is to be right here, to be this loving presence, to be this action of love, to be fiercely kind. I invite us in this moment to bring into our awareness all of our loved ones, our friends, our family. And I affirm on behalf of all of us that they are just surrounded by love itself, by the power of the divine, by grace, by compassion, by goodness and by godness. And in this moment, any place that is impacted by violence, any person that is impacted by racism or illness or pain, we just allow this prayer to be a beacon of love right where they are, fortifying them, loving them, guiding them, protecting them, supporting them in every way possible, knowing that the spirit of love itself is right where they are. And in this next breath, I just bless all churches everywhere, mosques, ashrams, synagogues, temples, circles, all paths to the divine, knowing that we are all in this together, that there is a unity of humanity that is emerging, and it is fiercely kind. And so from this place of grace and love and gratitude, I release my prayer into love. I let it be. I let go. I let God. And so it is. Blessed be. I'll see you in a bit.
Thank you so much, Reverend Shannon, for another inspired talk, giving us so much to think about and to feel into. So we're going to hear from the amazing LaRhonda Steele again in just a minute, but this is our time for conscious giving, for paying it forward. And if you are unable to contribute financially to the center right now, there are ways that you can still help. One of those ways is by making sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We need 1,000 subscribers to be able to live stream when we're back in the building to continue this global ministry that we're building. So please subscribe, share widely, and invite your friends to follow our channel as well. That 1,000 subscriber mark is going to be really important for us. So I thank you for that. And for those of you who are able to contribute financially, there are so many ways you can give. I love to text to give. It's so simple. You just send the number of the amount that you want to give to 503-966-3236. See, I don't even have the number memorized because it's already in my phone. It's so easy. There are other ways to give as well. You can mail in or go online. All the information's on our site, newthoughtcsl.org/give. So whatever your gift is today, I invite you to hold it closely and to speak these words with me. From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And now, LaRhonda Steele.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? And am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm staring at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up, oh yes. And I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have enough of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Oh, yes, I am. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I'm the place where God shows up. You are the place. I am the place. God moves and has a being. I'm the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I'm the place where God shows up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, LaRhonda Steele, Brian Harrison, the New Thought Messengers. Yes, we are the place where God shows up. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And just after this service, I want to remind you that we have our Zoom chat. If you haven't yet done this, I invite you to join us. It's kind of a time to gather and ask questions, and you know, if that's not, you know, your thing, no worries. I look forward to seeing you next time. But you might check it out. It's lovely. And don't forget that you can sign up for our next social justice, racial justice activism pitfalls and pathways class taught by Jen Moore. We are delighted. It begins August 11th. Please go to our website and register for that. It's going to be really, really powerful. All right, so let us together say our final blessing. May you go in the light, as the light, and with the light, until we meet again. May the longtime sun shine upon you.
All love surround you.
And the pure light within you
Guide you on your way.
You are loved. Mwah.